it has impacts across the whole grounds, the whole event, television, players, everything. You know, over 40,000 people coming in here every day. So
Alex Eala is in the main draw of Wimbledon. Not the qualifiers, not a wild card into the qualifying rounds. The main draw. Straight in. And when the Wimbledon tournament director makes a call like that, and then explains exactly why he made it, the tennis world stops and listens. Because Jamie Baker did not just confirm the decision. He laid out what it means. He said that placing Eala directly into the main draw removes the stress and the physical grind of the qualifying rounds entirely, freeing her to go deep in the tournament the way her tennis over the past few months has suggested she is capable of doing. And then he went further. He said that her presence in the draw would bring 40,000 fans into the stadium for her matches. 40,000 people into the grounds for Alex Eala. Let that land properly, because Wimbledon does not operate on sentiment. It does not hand main draw spots to players based on hype or fan base or social media numbers alone. It is one of the most tradition-bound, data-driven sporting institutions on the planet. And when its tournament director publicly attaches a 40,000 fan projection to one player's name, that number has come from somewhere real. It has come from analysis. It has come from ticket demand data, from broadcast figures, from the kind of commercial intelligence that organizations like Wimbledon run through before making any significant operational decision. Baker said it himself. They do not make decisions out of emotion. They do not chase hype. They follow data.
Competition between it's friendly competition, but there is competition between the four slams.
yeah, and look, we know all the amazing attributes that we have here at Wimbledon and the championships, but at no point this place is, we haven't achieved what we've achieved by being.
And the data on Alex Eala right now is the kind that does not require much interpretation. It tells a single clear story. She is the most in-demand women's tennis player on the planet in terms of physical attendance. And putting her into the main draw of the most prestigious Grand Slam on earth is not a favor. It is a business decision backed by numbers that made the choice completely obvious. And here is why those numbers are impossible to argue with. That sent shockwaves through the entire WTA. Alex Eala had become the player with the most ticket sales of any women's player in 2026, with nearly 500,000 people requesting tickets to watch her compete across the season. Not passive interest, not online clicks or social media follows, 500,000 people actively requesting physical tickets to be inside the same venue where she was playing. The WTA has genuine superstars. It has established names with enormous global followings built over years of competing at the highest level. Not one of them came close to generating that kind of physical demand this season. Not the world number one. Not the defending Grand Slam champions. Nobody. Ella's numbers stood alone, and they stood so far above the rest that the conversation in tournament boardrooms and ticketing operations shifted permanently. That is the foundation Jamie Baker was standing on when he made this call. But if the ticket numbers were the foundation, Ella's grass court record this season was the structure built on top of it. Because what she has done on grass in 2026 has been extraordinary. She arrived at the Birmingham Open as the top seed, dropped the first set in the final against Nicola Barčanová, and then found another level entirely. She came through 57-63-75 in 2 hours and 37 minutes of relentless grinding tennis that broke a streak of 14 consecutive losses against Czech opponents, stretching all the way back to 2020. She held her nerve at 5-all in the deciding set. She closed it out. She lifted the trophy. And in doing so, she joined a list of former Birmingham champions that includes Maria Sharapova, Ashley Barty, and Angelique Kerber. Then she arrived in Berlin, and it started all over again. Elena Rybakina, Grand Slam champion, one of the most dangerous servers in the women's game, couldn't get through her. Elena Svitolina, former world number 3, a player built for big occasions, couldn't get through her either. Ella moved into the semifinals of a significant WTA event on grass, competing with a calmness and quality that had everyone inside those Berlin courts paying attention differently than they had before. She fell to Linda Nashkova in the semis, yes, but the losses do not define what this grass court season has said about her. The wins do, and the wins have been against some of the most accomplished names in the sport. Undefeated run in Birmingham. back-to-back wins over a Grand Slam champion and a former world number 3 in Berlin, a WTA title, a semi-final at a major event, all on grass, all in the weeks leading directly into Wimbledon. And while all of that was happening on the court, something was happening off it that made Baker's decision even more straightforward than it might have looked from the outside. The Birmingham final drew approximately 11 million simultaneous live viewers. Not total views, not accumulated reach across platforms over days. 11 million people watching at exactly the same moment. For context, WTA finals at premier-level events typically draw between 2 and 4 million live viewers globally. Even Grand Slam women's finals have historically struggled to consistently clear 7 or 8 million live simultaneous figures. 11 million for a WTA 125 event was not just a personal record for Eala's matches, according to data circulating across sports media. It was a historic outlier for the entire circuit, and the TRP figures attached to that final reportedly crossed a threshold the WTA had never seen in its documented history. When you combine 11 million live viewers with nearly 500,000 ticket requests with a grass court record that includes a title, wins over a Grand Slam champion and a former world number 3, and a semi-final at a major WTA event, the only question Jamie Baker was really answering was not whether to put Eala in the main draw. It was why anyone would have seriously considered doing anything else. Because here is what Wimbledon is actually looking at. The grass court swing is Eala's proving ground, and she has used it to demonstrate that her tennis is equipped for the biggest stages of the sport. She is not a player whose draw gets easier the further she goes. She is a player whose tennis gets sharper. She handled Birmingham's adverse conditions, the rain delays, the stop-start disruption, the pressure of a final against a player she had never beaten on the professional circuit, and came through all of it. She handled Berlin's expectation and noise after Birmingham, took it into a draw containing serious threats, and produced tennis good enough to reach the last 4. The grass court version of Alex Eala is different. It is more dangerous. It is more settled, and it is walking into Wimbledon without the drain of qualifying, without the extra matches and the extra stress, with time and space to prepare properly for the draw that matters. 40,000 fans per match. 500,000 ticket requests across the season, 11 million live viewers for one final. A grass court record that has no meaningful weak point this season. Jamie Baker looked at all of that. He said clearly that the decision was data-driven, and the data left absolutely no room for doubt. Alex Eala is in the Wimbledon main draw because the numbers demanded it, because her tennis earned it, and because when you have a player whose presence alone changes the commercial reality of an entire tournament, you put her in the draw, you give her the best possible chance to compete deep into the fortnight, and you let everything else follow from there. The grass court season has been building to this. Birmingham started it. Berlin extended it. And now Wimbledon is where it arrives at its biggest stage yet. The player with the most ticket sales in the WTA this year, with the most watched women's match in recent memory behind her, with a grass court record that reads like a blueprint for exactly the kind of tennis Wimbledon rewards, is in the main draw. Jamie Baker made the call. The data made it easy. And now the only thing left is the tennis.